Time being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Health meeting to order. All members are present with the exception of Lisa Zanson. Everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. First item on our agenda this evening are announcements from the Health Department. I'm going to turn the floor over to our Health Agent, Chris Schultz.
Just got a few quick things. First, I wanted to mention that the compost site is open and has been running well on Saturdays. We are still looking for some additional volunteers, and we have updated our recycling prices for electronics and mattresses. We have a new vendor, so we're passing the savings on to the town. If anybody wants to see what the updated prices are, it is on our website. Speaking of recycling, the management at Target asked me to inform the town that they do recycle single-use and multi-use plastic bags and plastic films at Target when you first go in. So if you have single-use plastic bags or clean cereal bags or saran wrap or the things that your Amazon packages come in, all those plastics can be recycled at Target.
Do you just walk in and say, I have plastic film, or do they have their bin?
They have a bin.
Okay.
You can look up online what constitutes plastic film. There's quite a bit of stuff actually in there. And I believe Stop and Shop might be doing it too. I can't confirm that, but Target for sure. And lastly, this will be our last COVID update. As of today, we currently have 4 active cases in town. The state of emergency ends on 5/11, and we will no longer be reporting COVID numbers after that. If anybody wants to know, we still will get the information from Haven, but since the state of emergency is over, we're not required to be reporting any longer, and we won't. That's all I have for announcements.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? All right. That's the end of our announcements. So for discussion and action items for the evening, we have a presentation by Claire Galkowski, Executive Director of South Shore Recycling Co-op. Claire?
Hello, wow. Boy, you guys are efficient. Oh, my goodness. Yes, I'm Claire Galkowski. I'm the Director of the South Shore Recycling Cooperative. Would you like me to sit down?
Yeah, good to see you.
Okay, thank you. And I've got a handout for you all here. You might have that already.
Oh, I think
Yeah, we have
we've got one.
Oh, you do?
We have
Okay.
one. Thank you.
In the back of it has our tire collection information. If anybody
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to.
We don't have bags.
We'll take
No,
one.
back on the back one.
Hi.
Sorry, I did that backwards.
So, are you all familiar with what the South Shore Recycling Cooperative is and does? All right, well, let me introduce myself. I'm Claire Galkowski. I've been the director of the South Shore Recycling Cooperative for its entire 25 years of existence. We're actually going to be celebrating next month, so hopefully Chris could share the invitation with you all if anyone would like to join us. We are composed of 18 towns. We're a government organization, independent, and we consist of 18 towns, most of the surrounding towns here, down to Plymouth and Middleborough and up to Braintree. It's not Hull, beyond. No, nothing to the ocean, but and we do all things waste recycling, hazardous waste, including programming. We run the hazardous waste program for the whole region. We do advocacy at the State House and DEP, help with the grants. So what I'm here to talk to you about tonight is our hazardous waste program. Are you all familiar with the hazardous waste program? Okay, good. So right now it's a traveling show, so every town does its own, every town either participates with other towns such as Abington. You are now in a 4-town rotation with East Bridgewater, Whitman, and Hanson. So that means for you guys, every 4 years you're host, and the other for years, the other town in this rotation hosts, so it saves everybody money, and staff time, it's just much easier. And we've been having a problem throughout the state, it's not just us, getting service for these pop-up events. The schedule this spring is terrible. It's just last fall was the worst. There's just a lot of competition for a few dates. There's just not enough service providers out there that are willing to do these events. It requires mobilizing a fairly large crew, trucks, and then they have to deal with getting rid of this stuff. It's a really big deal, and costs are going up. So after our debacle last fall, where we had 5 collections scheduled, I publicized them, set up the registration, and 3 weeks before the first event, our vendor called and said, "Oh, we can't service your goods." And my head spun around. It was not good. And we did manage to salvage it. We ended up having 3 evening events, one of which Abington hosted. And it was okay. It was dark because we had to do it on a Wednesday night instead of a Saturday. But we did manage to salvage it. And we brought in another vendor for the last 2 events, which we're working with now. Trident Environmental. So this spring we have a strange schedule because, you have to get in like over a year early, as it turns out, to get your dates. So fall's going to be a little odd. Next spring we have a more normal schedule where we spread it out. So our goal is to spread things out. So our residents have the maximum number of opportunities to get rid of their hazardous waste. It's usually when people are moving. I always get calls the week after the last event of the fall or the spring. "Oh, I've got them closing on my house in, 3 weeks. What am I going to do?" And the options are really not very good, especially in the winter. The only option in the winter time is to go all the way out to Sutton on a Tuesday or Thursday, which is pretty far. So the handwriting's on the wall. I said, okay, it's time to really get serious about thinking about a regional permanent facility. So we are now working on that. Hanover has volunteered to be the host at their transfer station. They generally do 2 events a year anyway. And so that was a huge step, just finding a host community, because the Cape's been trying to do this for years, and they're stuck at not being able to find a location. But we've been very fortunate to have a site-designed facility that already has some infrastructure there, security and everything else. So the next step is to apply for a grant, because we're going to need equipment. Yes?
So it's already been approved, like the townspeople in Hanover, like at the transfer station, they've already said yes?
DPW has said yes, and the fire department has signed off on it. Yep, I don't have anything in writing yet, but, they're, in principle, they're in. If they back out, which is possible, I'd have to go looking for another location. That's going to be very difficult. But, we still have the pop-up events.
Mhm.
So I'd have lost a real lot of work. But, this is something that, it would be nice to have it if it's possible, and, just keep our fingers crossed that all the dominoes fall into place.
Mhm.
So we have 12 towns so far that have committed to support it. And what we're asking for is a letter of support, which I will be drafting hopefully this week, to include with our grant application, indicating support in principle and some small financial contribution, because the DEP likes to see some matching funds, just, to show that the towns have some skin in the game. You guys have a bunch of recycling dividend program funds, which could be used for that purpose. The range that I think we'd be looking at would be about $1,500 to $3,000. And the SSRC itself, I'm going to be taking it to our board that we make a significant contribution to, because luckily we have a pretty good surplus.
Is that 12 out of the 18 towns have approved, just like you're looking for Abington's approval? So if the other ones not, you just haven't spoken with them yet, or did?
Yeah, I've spoken with most of the towns, so the town of Weymouth, Hull, Plymouth, Kingston, and Middleborough are gonna continue doing their own thing. You know, the southern ones, you know, it's just too far, Hanover is not practical.
Yeah.
And if we get a couple more towns joining from that neck of the woods, then, you know, we might look at doing a permanent facility down in that area. Carver would probably be the ideal location for that, they're not a member at this point, so. So we would continue doing the traveling show down there. Weymouth is very big, and, you know, the residents like to have their own place. It's a big deal, overtime for the DPW. They also accept a lot of other stuff like electronics and tires from the Weymouth residents. So they're now willing to give theirs up. And Hull, I'm not sure why Hull decided they didn't want to do it, but okay. They do it at the DCR. Hull is a little bit far too from Hanover, so, but the town doesn't have a trash program there, so it's something that they do for the residents. So, but those would continue to be open to Abington residents, to all the other residents. We have a fully reciprocal arrangement. So the goal is to have at least one collection event every single month. You know, preferably on the same day or maybe 2 different days. No one's ever complained about it being on a Saturday, although I know that there are some small segments of the population that Saturday might be a problem for. But haven't heard any complaints in 25 years, so so those kind of details are to be determined. That, you know, we'd like to run them year round. So some of the part of the facility would include a heated and air conditioned trailer. We got a canopy over the top for the rain. It's not fun doing these things in the rain. I've done enough of those. You know, there's a lot of things that would still need to be done, but this is just the beginning of the journey. I'd like to think that it would be open somewhere in the vicinity of fiscal 26. So I'm here to ask for you to support it and in word and with a little bit of a financial contribution to it. So, do you have any questions?
On the financial side, when will you know, like, the numbers as far as what long-term, like, or an annual contribution it will take? Or?
Well, right now, Mike, I hope that it will be cost neutral for what you're already spending for your residents, because in the future, we haven't set up a system yet of how we would evaluate it, but it would be based on, after we get it set up, we would need some person power. Every town's going to need to contribute some staffing time for checking in and stuff, like you do now. And then it would just be paid by the car or by the amount of material. We probably continue with a similar way of assessing as it is now, even though the cost would be paid a little bit more. We'd be paying by the drum rather than by the car to the service provider. But there are more service providers that are willing to do this type of thing. And we'd be storing partial drums on site, so that would be a cost savings there.
Yeah, to not have to transport everything multiple times, that seems like a safety advantage.
I think so, yeah, and you'd only be transporting full trucks, and it wouldn't be on a Saturday. You know, they would send the trucks when they're available. It's very tough to mobilize a big operation on a Saturday. They'll have to pay overtime and everything else.
Do you think that the volunteer man hours that are needed would be greater than they are now, or neutral?
I think it would be neutral. Yeah, we try to keep things as similar as they are, and similar to the way it is now, as possible. So, yeah. Questions?
You had mentioned the recycling dividends program with us participating in this, and Chris, maybe you know the answer, increase any of the points to be able to get as part of that program?
No, but we have plenty of, well.
Yeah, well, just, you know.
Yeah, we have fun.
Right. But I didn't know I know Center for Harder Recycled Materials is one of them too. And I didn't
Oh, you know your stuff.
I do. So I didn't know if that,
We fortunately already get the maximum points for that
All
because
right.
we participate in this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how this fell into that category, so even better.
Yeah, but on the charm facility, there's also separately been an invitation from the town of Rockland to open its recycling center, which has the full boat of, difficult to manage stuff.
Yes,
To
I'm
add
talking to
to-
Dell about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great.
So my only question, so I'm working on our RDP grant right now.
Well,
So
Chris, he is on the ball, I gotta tell you. I love working with Chris.
we should not apply for the SMRP, just leave that for Hanover.
No, SSRC will be applying
All
for
right,
that.
so, all right. So we
But I'll just be looking to the participating member town to sign the
Okay.
letter of support.
Cool.
So, yeah, because this will be a regional initiative. And even though Hanover's the host town, we won't be asking them to do the paperwork. Because we still have to figure out things like, who owns this stuff? It would probably technically belong to the SSRC. And we'll have to work out an arrangement with Hanover on that.
Seems like in my eyes, the only real negative aspects would be that it's just not in Abington, so it's not going to be as convenient to Abington people, but maybe like the hassle of having to sign up to come to ours, like would you have to sign up to go to deliver things so that, oh, that would be the same
We
then?
continue with the registration just because,
Helps.
that's one thing that the pandemic has been a help on is, we used to get backed up before this thing opened. And, the lines would be in some situations, back into the street and, yeah, it wasn't a good situation. You never knew how many people to expect, so it was a guess as to how much staffing you needed. And everybody wants to come first thing, and so you end up with this huge glut of traffic and it never clears out. So now it's so much better. It's steady, it usually peters down towards the end of the day, but it's much more steady and it's easier to get people through. People don't get mad, so.
I personally don't feel like Hanover is too far, do you guys?
No, not at
It's
all.
right on 139, right? It's-
Yep.
Yep, that's convenient.
Convenient enough. Good.
Tractor Supply's right over there, so it's quite a bit.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Where you live in town.
Good. So, would you be willing to take a vote on that?
Yeah, we can do that. So unless anybody has any questions before we open that up. All right, well, I would entertain a motion on this if that is the board's.
Make a motion to support regional.
Sorry, sorry, Kevin.
The South Shore Recycling Cooperatives Regional Facility at Abington. We look forward to being a part of it, but make a motion that we would support that.
I need a dollar amount in there?
I don't think that's.
Yeah, that's not, we don't have any control over the dollar amount, so it's, I think just supporting it.
Yeah. Just for example, from our RDP, we got 9,000 from our RDP this year, and we've only used 5,000 out of that, so we'll be able to cover that from our grant.
So we can support it, and then Chris would go to the selectmen or the town manager to get the funds authorized. Correct.
It's, sounds right to me. Yep. All right, motion by Kevin, second by Katie. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. So we will obviously with that vote, give our support to
Thank
your
you very much.
program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for organizing it.
13
Oh.
in the community.
And you too, I'm
Yeah,
glad I
13,
finally get to meet
yes.
you. It's been a long time since I've been working with the Board of Health down here, so this is great. Pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you so much.
Yep,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, moving on to our next agenda item, approval of the minutes for March 20th and April 3rd. Both those attached. As you might recall, March 20th ones we weren't able to vote on in our last meeting because they hadn't been available to us. They are here now. I would ask that since the attendance was different for both of these, that we vote on these separately.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 20th.
Motion to approve the minutes of March 20th by Kevin. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Second by Clay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Do I have any action on April 3rd?
I'll make a motion to approve April 3rd's minutes as written.
Motion to approve April 3rd's minutes is written. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Second by Katie. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Clay needs to abstain.
Okay,
got it, sorry. That's all right. All right, so those minutes pass as well. Moving on, correspondence. Do we have any from the health department?
I'll just gonna read what Claire gave us on the back of the sheet for our residents. So the South Shore Recycling Co-op and Plymouth County Mosquito Control are teaming up for 2 free tire collections on April 8th in Plymouth and May 24th in Rockland. Oh, April 8th is already passed, I'm sorry. So there's one coming up on May 24th in Rockland. To register, you can go to the South Shore Recycling Co-op website. And I believe we also have a link to it on the Health Department's Facebook page.
They do also have, they do come out and do mattress collections as well for a fee.
Yeah, they have there's a date for that too.
I think the next one is May 24th.
Yeah,
It's May 24th.
yeah, that
Right.
information is on too.
Signed up for one.
That's all.
That's it.
I just want to say, our town elections are this Saturday, and obviously that means the board will be changing up. So I want to thank Lisa Bezanson, who will be leaving this board this weekend. Just thank you for your service this past year. It's been a pleasure to serve with you. So our next meeting will be actually next week, Monday, May 1st, just to get back on schedule. This was pushed out because of Patriots Day. So we're just going to have 1 week of consecutive, and then we'll be back on the every other week schedule. Any other correspondence? That, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Kevin. Do I have a second? Second by Katie. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.